This is the 640th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting held at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007. And it is Friday, January 8th, 2016.
That's
Okay.
Before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to wish everyone a Happy New Year, and let's hope 2016 will be a big year for Arizona racing and a prosperous year. And having said that, I'd like to call to order the 640th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting. It's 10 a.m. And Cassie, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Commissioner McClintock,
Here.
Commissioner Garay,
present.
Commissioner Lawless,
Here.
Commissioner Feldmeyer, Commissioner Heupel.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to have to apologize to Tom Metzen. I've been told that Camila has a funeral to go to, so we're going to have to go into executive session first, assuming she gets here. So we might start with item C,
Yes.
the new business items for a status report, presentation, discussion, and possible action for the commission. And the first item is Turf Paradise request for Central Arizona Fair Association County Fair dates, the Pinal County Fair at Turf Paradise. I don't have the packet, unfortunately. I assume this is just a request to run Pinal County's dates at Turf Paradise. Greg, do you have some information?
Yes, I'll give you a packet right there.
Thank you, sir. The request is, Turf Paradise requests approval of the following Pinal County Fair days to be run at Turf Paradise, February 6th, 13th, 14th, and 20th, 2016. These dates are contingent upon Pinal County Board of Supervisors approving the dates. Commission action is required. Is there any discussion on whether or not the Pinal County should run their dates at Turf Paradise? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve Pinal County's request?
So moved. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the Pinal County dates at Turf Paradise. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Bill.
Do we have to do a roll call, Cassie?
Yes.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
McClintock,
Here, yes.
Garay,
Yes.
Lawless,
Yes.
Feldmeyer,
Yeah.
Heupel.
Yes.
Okay, we pass.
Okay. So I saw Camilla was here. Oh, there she is. You're smart because Dave has a cold, so you don't want to.
Well, I won't stay back here the whole time.
All right. Well, like I said, Camilla unfortunately has to attend a funeral, so we're going to go into executive session. I need a motion, I think, to go into executive session.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded that we go into executive session. Sorry that we have to clear the room.
I need to do the roll call,
We need to
and
do a roll
you need to
call.
ask for a vote.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. And I'll
Okay.
cast
Yes.
you a roll.
McClintock,
Yes.
Garay,
Yes.
Lawless,
Yes.
Feldmeyer,
Yeah.
Heupel?
Yes.
Okay. Then we are officially going into executive session at 10:03 a.m. This is the second open session of the 640th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting held at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007. Okay, we're back on the record, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I apologize to everyone, but we have to go back into
10:33.
executive session. We need a motion.
Do we need to vote on?
I move that we instruct our council to proceed as instructed during executive session.
Second.
Can we go straight to the roll call?
Sure. Well, actually, okay. McClintock,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Lawless,
Yes.
Feldmeyer,
Yep.
Hypel.
Yes.
Okay, carries. Okay, so now if you want to go to the second one.
Ms. Harrison.
Commissioners, this is Stacy Harrison on behalf of Ron Sims. I have some statements to make. I thought you may prefer if I make them in the presence of your counsel before she leaves. So I don't know if you would prefer if I make those statements now, or if you would prefer that they be made after your second executive session.
Since I don't know what they are, why don't you make them now?
Certainly. I wanted to give you an update on Marshall Grossman's health. He is still in
Do we have public do we have public comment on the agenda? Yes, we do.
Okay. This proceeding
Right.
public comment section. Marshall Grossman is still incapacitated. He's still at home. He's in rehabilitation. We will not be asking to continue the briefing schedule or the hearing date on the appeal at this time, assuming the appeal goes forward. As I'm sure you're aware, there's still an application pending in the special action in court to stop the appeal, and that's to be heard on January 20th in a couple of weeks. If that situation changes and Mr. Grossman's health does not improve or deteriorates, I will let you know at the February meeting, and we may need to discuss different dates at that time, but right now we are not seeking any continuance. There is a couple of other issues that may deal with your executive session. One has to do with disclosures of ex-party communications with Ron Sims, Jerry Sims, TP Racing, and their representatives. As you may recall, we had requested that the commissioners fill out a questionnaire that we had handed to them at the November 17th, 2015 meeting. On advice of counsel, the commissioners has decided not to fill out that questionnaire.
Just
Isn't this out of order? We don't have representation. This wasn't on the agenda.
This is, Mr. Sims, we're doing this under the call to the public
So it's
section.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I will be brief.
Okay.
In a letter dated December 16th, 2015, your counsel informed me that she did believe that there were some laws that governed ex-parte communication disclosure by the commissioners, and she suggested that those disclosures may be made at the next public meeting, either in January or February. I note that there is nothing on the agenda for these disclosures to be made today, and I urge something to be added so that these disclosures are made today. This is particularly important in light of documents that were produced in the TP Racing litigation by TP Racing, which reflects that each of the commissioners were invited to 4 private parties at Turf Paradise in 2015, and at least one commissioner, Mr. Hypel, attended at least one of those parties. These are the sorts of materials and information that should have been disclosed, and we urge to be disclosed now fully, and whatever else there is, be disclosed.
okay. You need to wrap up. I'm sorry.
Okay. One last moment. There was a suggestion that Commissioners McClintock and Lawless recused themselves in a conversation by their counsel with my office. We immediately disclosed that to all parties to the appeal and to the Commission's lawyers. The Commission's counsel informed me that Mr. McClintock and Mr. Lawless will not recuse themselves, and I'd like to know how that occurred, given that I understood that any such communications regarding the appeal needed to occur in open session or in an executive session voted by the Commission. So I want to know on the record how it was communicated to the council that the commissioners are no longer considering recusing themselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
Since these things are not on the agenda, you can't respond, and it will be put on a future agenda if you decide to do that. But at this time, you may not provide any response.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, do we need a motion to go back into the executive?
Yes, sir. You would need a motion to go back into the second executive session.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we go back into executive session. Cassie, would you like
Okay. McClintock,
to? Aye.
Gray,
Yes.
Lawless,
Yes.
Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Hypel.
Yes.
Okay, motion's been carried, and we are going back into second executive session at 10:38 a.m. This is the third regular session of the 640th Arizona Racing Commission meeting held at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007, and Suite 250, or excuse me, and on January 8th, 2016. It's 10:46, and we're now going back into session.
We're back in open session. This would be a motion to instruct any of
I move that our council proceed as directed in executive session. Second.
Cassie, call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. McClintock,
Yes?
Gray,
Yes.
Lawless,
Yes.
Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Heupel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you,
Camilla.
Camilla. Now we move on to new business. Item 2, the Ito Park Foundation, the Ito Racing request to amend their 2016 race dates. They want to delete January 30th and 31st, February 6th, and add March 19th and 20th. Anybody have any discussion on this? I'm sure it has something to do with football. Jay, you want to come up and tell us what's going on?
I'm Jay Wells, president of Rito Park Foundation and Rito Racing, which is a subsidiary of the foundation. And just a few of the facts. On December 15th, the Board of Supervisors presented a signed contract by our parties and the county administration for the approval of a 5-year lease with 4 5-year options. The essence of it was it gave the right for the foundation to operate the racetrack facility on a year-round basis, excluding the soccer fields. And so we, quite frankly, were quite surprised on the 15th when a couple of the supervisors raised some questions. They asked for a postponement, and they voted to postpone the vote on that long-term contract until February 2nd. So that motion was made and passed, and that's where that stands for that contract. What I do believe is that they were not aware that that action also put the racing for the upcoming meet in danger. And there was an existing 3-year contract that was a year-to-year contract, but had a 3-year payment structure. In essence, the terms would be the same. And that was not renewed. And it was not renewed at our request and in consultation with the county administration because the onus of who was going to pay for rebuilding the barns there changed from county's intention to where we would do it. And we said we would agree to do it because we do believe it's a public-private partnership and that we can bring in the nonprofit dollars. As a matter of fact, we were turned down for $1 million grant in May last year because our lease was not on a long-term basis. That same foundation did award us $250,000 and asked us to come back next year and ask for $250,000, meaning the spring of 2016. But for bigger numbers, they had to have longer-term lease, which makes perfect sense. So we initiated that, went through it. There really isn't anything that put a threat to the folks that were for field sports for what we were doing, other than the fact that they want it all. And I think that that's clear. There was, for those of the commissioners that are not aware of this long-term fight, if I may briefly address it, in 2006, a committee was formed in Pima County that were to address the long-term use of Rito Park. And at that time, a compromise was made by the players at that time that there, let me back up just one second. There was a 25-year period where a voter-passed referendum in 1985 expired in 2010. So knowing that was going to expire, they formed these committees in 2006. The compromise was made that soccer and horse racing would coexist there. However, at the time that the county could build a like facility somewhere else in the county, horse racing agreed to abandon. I've been in touch with the players that made that agreement, and basically they agreed to it knowing full well that the county would probably never have the money to spend the $47 million. I think that number has now been adjusted up to almost $60 million to build a like facility in Pima County. So, in fairness, the soccer groups this was going to be their tournament facility. What's happened is over the years, FC Tucson, a professional soccer league, has moved in and they've developed this Keno Sports Complex and converted that. They recently purchased another, I can't remember how many acres, I think it's 120 acres, don't hold me to that number, to expand for youth soccer on the south side. And the main reason for that was that the stipulations for any big soccer tournaments required that you now have 18 fields, not 16 that Rito could hold. And for major national tournaments, you're supposed to have 24 fields and be within 1 mile of a interstate interchange. So clearly, Rito Park has outgrown its tournament site facility. The county administration is aware of that, etc. But what's really going on is that it's club soccer, and it's families that can afford to have their children play and pay the coaches. They do $1.15 million at the park. They pay the county $0 for usage of the fields, and the county subsidizes the grass for $300,000. We're quite frankly for that. We are not against it. We believe, we were the ones that kind of came to and said, hey, a compromise would be to relocate the barns and add the additional fields. We'd give them 11 fields, and that was a critical number so that they could take fields out of rotation and play, let the grass heal, etc. So in any event, where we stand today is that we have met with most of the supervisors. We believe we've answered their questions. I believe Greg can speak to a memorandum, so I'll let him speak so you hear it from him instead of me about the latest memorandum and the proposal. And so what they're doing and proposing is that on the 19th of January, they will vote to reinstate that existing 3-year agreement, year by year. But go ahead, one of the options is they can go ahead and just do 2 years. In other words, we would have 16 and 17. It's an election year. And I have heard that one of the supervisors said that phones were constantly ringing, they were constantly soccer moms, they were constantly angry, and now they're constantly threatening to use their husband's money to get them defeated. So it's it isn't a laughing matter, but when we lose our sense of humor, we're doomed. So we think we're in a good shape for this meet. All of our players have stayed on. It has caused major disruption, ergo the request to delay. Sponsors are in limbo. Big track preparations, leases for equipment to get out on the track, and we will not be allowed to even touch the facility until this is passed on the 19th. So it is what it is, and we believe that this is a battle of the bulge. That's what I've been telling folks as an analogy. We think that the opposition to having the multi-use facility is, they're throwing everything they can at it, and they're doing a good job. I tip my hat to them. But in essence, we believe that the multi-use vision, horse racing, soccer, farmers market, the bigger events, etc., is something that the community has supported, and they have supported. And we do invite that all of the horsemen that can to show up on the 19th at the Board of Supervisors meeting. The soccer clubs are very well organized, and of course, they've had a 10-year head start. So we need to be a little bit more political than we'd like to be. But it is what it is, and we're up to the task. Any questions regarding the situation?
A little more serious than I thought it was. Does anybody have a question for Jay or any discussion on this matter? If not, we need a motion to approve the amended 2016 race schedule.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Rito Park Foundation's request to delete January 30th and 31st, February 6th from its racing schedule and add March 19th and 20th, 2016. Cassie, would you call the roll?
McClintock,
Yes.
Garay,
Yes.
Lawless,
Yes.
Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Heupel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is Tucson Greyhound Park's request for 2016 live racing dates. Tucson Greyhound Park has requested the dates for 2016. The department has reviewed the request and found it consistent with the dates approved for 2015. So the department recommends approval. I don't know if everybody has this list. I have it. It's similar to the yearly annual schedule that they always have. So is there any discussion on this?
John, I have a question. And
Okay,
it's relative to the informational item on the inspection, number 2 under item D.
okay.
And I'm a little concerned about approving these dates without hearing the magnitude of the concerns that I read in preparation for the meeting from the steward.
Can
So
we-
I'd like to suggest that we hear that report from the steward before I make a decision on whether at least I'm going to vote for this or not.
All right, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm going to ask Cassie if we can move to item D, number 2.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, well, let's have Mr. Reinertsen give us his presentation now then, and we'll postpone the vote until after we hear from him.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commission members, Director Casillas. I know on the report that you heard in November, we were to have a inspection on November 18th. That actually did not happen due to some disagreements. I've tried to come up with a new report, and what I've done is made a meeting for Monday, January 18th, 2016. It's at the end of my report to do that follow-up inspection. The report that I have is pretty similar to the one you had in November. Most of the issues still exist. If you'd like me to go through them one by one, I can. The racing issues, of course, we have the brake area. And last meeting that I was at, we actually had a mishap the night before the commission meeting in this area. I didn't say anything last meeting because I didn't know what the problems were, the outcomes were, but they ended up redoing part of that brake area that was rusted out. But as far as I'm concerned, I still think it needs to be remodeled, re-gone over to make sure that we don't have any mishaps again like happened on the day before the last commission meeting. And then the fencing on the outside of the track is still in disrepair. They are taking panels out and replacing panels, but in my opinion, they've skipped a few that should have been replaced, so that's still ongoing. The track infield, the dirt is still higher than the rail actually is, and when we have downpours, everything feeds to the rail. And at times, of course, usually only happens in monsoon where the quick rains come and then it buries the track. But what happens is we have to bail the water out for the lure to get through because it's all electricity and it can't run through certain low spots in the rail. The kennel compound, we've had an issue with cats, and for a while there they were gone, but it appears they're coming back again. There's still some issues of bushes that we need to remove to take away their housing. And then with this last rain, the building issues, the grandstand there, as of last night, as of Wednesday, they were still collected in buckets, so that's still an issue. The parking lot, the main driveway, is still full of potholes and is in disrepair. And then of course there's some flooring outside our office that needs to be repaired. Those are some of the issues that I have.
Okay.
If you have any questions,
Well, first of all, Dan, I'd like to thank you for the job you do down there. I've known you for years, and you do a great job. And I know it's hard working with the various people in racing, backside, front side, opinions and all that. I am the commissioner who requested these safety reports, and I'll take a little of the blame because when I requested these safety reports, I was expecting a little something different. So I'll take the blame for not setting the guidance as to what was the expectation on these things. When I asked for these reports, there had been a jockey seriously injured at Turf Paradise, and there had also been a Greyhound electrocuted at Tucson Greyhound Park. Those are the type of things I was looking for as to, are we ensuring that our animals and our participants are safe? I was not expecting Martha Stewart living. And several of these things on this report, I don't know where the guidance is coming from, but I've been to Tucson Greyhound Park, and I can tell you I don't give a rip about the fencing on the outer edge. The racetrack infield issues, I don't give a rip about. The cats, I can tell you, cats are going to show up where the dogs are. I have 6 retired racing greyhounds at my house, and the cats keep showing up. And even though everyone knows dogs will chase cats and a greyhound can catch them, the cats show up. I've been to farms in Kansas, and there's these stupid cats walking around out there in the turnout pens with these dogs. So I personally, I would like to see this report get back to my original expectations as to some real safety issues, and I don't know where the guidance came from for putting this report together, but if the commission needs to work with the department and give some guidance, I think that needs to happen. But Dan, I do appreciate the job you do down there. I know it's tough, and thank you for everything you have done down there for the sport and for the people.
Any other questions?
I have none.
I have none.
No, thanks for your report, Dan. Mr.
Well, then,
Potter?
Mr.
Go
Chairman,
ahead.
then Roy, are you comfortable then that we could move forward?
I'm very comfortable, and one of my frustrations, I know Tucson Greyhound Park gets a lot of bad press. Not a single person has ever come before this commission to talk about the problems that they think are going on down there. And I'll tell you right now, if you've got a problem with Tucson Greyhound Park, show up before this commission and tell us. Don't be chicken shit and go to the media.
I like it. Mr. Pop, do you want to tell us what your plans are as far as correcting problems and
Yes, sir.
going forward?
Hello, Dale Pop, Tucson Greyhound Park. Again, to reiterate, there are some minor issues at the park that, as we are able to, we repair. We are concentrating on the safety issues above all. The area that Mr. Reiner took to refer to just prior to the last meeting, it was a brace that had fallen down that affected the lure when it came in. The very next morning, had it fixed. That same day, I got up on this same rail area, brake area, and jumped on it. Not a problem. Again, everything that Mr. Reiner is talking about is true. There are some issues there. We are working on them, but we are making the safety of the animals number one. We just put a fresh load of sand on the track. We had a total of 3 injury reports for the month of December. So we're doing some positive things, and we're not neglecting or disrespecting this commission or Mr. Robinson in any way. But some things are going to take a little bit longer to fix, parking lots, things of that nature. We haven't lost any vehicles. They are there, but they're mainly on the outside edge, unfortunately, the areas that we do not have to use. We don't have enough customers to go out that far. So, again, I agree 100% with what Mr. Reinert's is saying. There are some issues. The safety issues we take care of above all. We fixed the roof that he referred to a couple of times. It depends on how the wind's blowing. The infield area, we have done work on that. We haven't had the rains like we've had in the monsoons, but we don't have the lure areas not filling up the water. So did we fix it 100% perfect? No, sir. That's going to take a lot of digging out, excavating to get that level down. But we do have it to the point that it's not going to interfere with any safety issues or the rail is not going to fill with water. So we're okay for now. Again, safety issues, number one priority. As we can, we'll get some of the other smaller issues and hopefully cosmetically make it look better somewhere down the road.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Crump? Bill, are you satisfied? Do you think we can take a vote? Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes,
Does that answer your questions?
it did. Thank you for letting us go that route. Rory, I'm appreciative of your comments, and I'm thankful you're taking the lead on this.
No, I agree with that. All right, so back to the request for Tucson Greyhound Park race dates. They've submitted a request. The dates are very similar to the dates in 2015, and the department has recommended approval of their dates. So I guess we need a motion.
I think you already have a motion and a second. You stopped it at the vote.
Been moved and seconded.
I'm sorry, we don't. I make a note and,
No, I remember it, but
Okay.
there's no harm
So
in
moved.
doing it again.
Do it again.
Second.
thank
Been
you.
moved and seconded that we approve Tucson Greyhound Park's 2016 race dates. Cassie, did you?
Mr. McClintock,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Lawless,
Yes.
Feldmeyer,
Yes?
Heupel,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, so that's it for new business. Information reports. Discussion concerning Rito and Beaver County Board. I think we've pretty much had that, haven't we, Jay?
Yes, I would just like to say thank you. You know, this is something that when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and we do appreciate, I speak on behalf of the entire board, not only y'all's understanding of the situation that we're going through, we do believe we're bringing this thing to a head, but I especially want to thank Greg because he has been a gentleman. The communications have been clear. He has been a straight shooter with me, and I hope he feels the same way in communications from our side as well. We're going to get through this thing and hope to see you down in Tucson February 13th.
All right,
Thank
well,
you.
you know the commission supports you, and anything we can do, we'd be happy to do it.
Thank you very
We
much.
like racing in Tucson. Number 3 is the discussion on the RWA. And I don't know who's, Mr. Casilla starts.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was put on the agenda for information from the commission. We're seeking any information that you guys would prefer to receive from the division regarding the financial status of the division, justifying the need for an increase in the RWA.
Well, that's a good question.
Well, I think we would need to see a P&L and a, not a balance sheet, but a P&L.
And a balance
For,
sheet.
yeah, and a balance sheet, but for prior years, in my case, because I haven't seen those. And then if 15 is close to being finished, and if there's a budget established for 16.
Yeah, the year is actually July 1st.
Oh, that's right, it's a
Okay.
Or if there's a revision to the prior budget because it was underestimated, certain expenses and what have you, a revised budget.
So I think that's a good start. I'd like to see that as well. And I would also like to know, is the request for this increase because the department is spending so much money trying to defend itself in this lawsuit?
Yes, the division is expending approximately $100,000 to $125,000 every month on this litigation. As the commission is familiar, last year we submitted a request for an increase, which was approved and was sunsetted back in November. As the race meet comes to a close, we have several months that there's no revenues coming into the division, and we have to pay employees. We have to keep employees available to regulate for the upcoming race season, and it makes it difficult when there's no revenues coming into the agency, and we have a $200,000 monthly budget for employees.
Rudy, during the summer, when the track's closed, we don't get any revenue from the simulcast?
Very little.
My understanding in years past, when we would need to have this increase, the department would meet with the stakeholders and show them all the data and go over with everything, so that by the time it came to us, the stakeholders were already in agreement with what was going to happen. Is that going to still be happening, or are we all just going to be finding about it at a meeting, and the stakeholders are going to be as well wondering?
We were contemplating doing that, Mr. Gorey. However, it was brought to our attention that there was a possibility of violating the open meeting laws by doing such a thing. Therefore, we wanted to keep it into the commission meetings.
Can you refresh my memory on the original amount, percentage-wise, what the increase was and what is being recommended?
You're talking from
The
last year?
percentage, yeah. I know we raised it.
It went from 0.60 to 0.85, and then back down to 0.60.
And has something been proposed?
Nothing more than informational information from the last commission meeting indicating that we're falling into the same financial constraints from the year before. Even if we continue to receive financial assistance from risk management, because of the downtime from summer through November, we have no revenues coming in. We're still going to have a shortfall regardless, and we will be able to indicate that with the submission of documents regarding the balance sheets and the P&L.
Mr. Sims or Mr. Francie, would you guys like to say something?
I just had a couple questions.
Okay.
For the record, Vincent Francie, General Manager of Turf Paradise. Mr. Director, when you mentioned about the cost, the legal costs coming into the department, are they being borne totally by the department, or are they shared with racing? Or is that a question you can answer?
Shared with racing?
Shared with gaming, excuse me.
No, it's not shared with gaming. It's solely on the racing.
On the racing part.
Yes.
At the previous commission meeting, it was mentioned by a young lady about the risk pool. Is the Department of Racing part of a risk pool? Let me put on my other hat as mayor of Cave Creek. We're part of a risk pool, and if my community gets sued, and we frequently do, unfortunately, the risk pool picks up 80% of the legal cost, and the town picks up 20%. Does the department have a similar arrangement with the risk pool?
We have an agreement with risk management at the Department of Administration, where they are presently, they have previously been paying some of the legal fees up until this month. We don't know if they're going to continue paying any of the legal fees from this point forward.
Okay. My last question is the forum in which this discussion will take place on the RWA. What is that, at a commission meeting, or is that?
That is the intent. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Metz.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Tom Metzen. I'm president of the HPPA here, and we represent the horsemen. And we've been saddled with this RWA for several years now, and it's a burden on the horsemen, obviously. And I have a problem with us paying legal bills these lawsuits where the commission was sued by somebody when, in fact, I would always of the opinion that the Attorney General's office ought to represent the department, and my understanding was that there's a conflict of interest there because of something that happened between the present Attorney General and some campaign contribution. But whatever the matter is, it certainly shouldn't be burdened upon the horsemen paid to defend the department. I think that's not a reasonable use of the money. I think the idea that the commissioners came up with here is that we need to see a P&L. I don't doubt that we're using all our money wisely, but it's my understanding that we've eliminated a lot of positions in the department, and if you eliminate several $100,000 worth of employees, I'm wondering where that money is being used, because I just don't think that we should be burdened with this big expense. Okay, thank you. And just one other comment. It may be a conflict of the open meeting law, but that's the way it was done previously when this thing was first started. If that were the case, then we were all in violation of the open meeting law, because back when this was done, we had a different director, and we all met in a room down here, all of the stakeholders. None of the commissioners were there, but the stakeholders and the director were there, and that's when this thing was decided. Thank you.
I'd like to see, and I think we've discussed this, but we need an explanation of the open meeting law. I mean, if three of us are in the same venue at the same time, not talking about horse racing or anything that involves the racing commission, are we in violation of the open meeting law?
Well, in that question I can't answer because it's not something that's been agendized to have a discussion about that, but with regard to whether you could have meetings between department staff and stakeholders, I'm not the one who gave any advice to say that couldn't happen. I was surprised to hear that, because open meeting laws don't apply to staff members. It applies to you folks, and if you weren't in the room, I just don't understand it, except that rulemaking has to go through a notice and comment, but there's a lot of work that goes in before you publish a rule or try to get the notice of comment. So I can work with staff to determine if there's a way that we can have those sorts of meetings between staff and stakeholders outside of an open commission meeting. And as I sit here, I'd be surprised if it couldn't happen, because it happens all the time in a lot of different boards where there's work in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us to do our job properly, we need direction from the horseman, the track, the director. The big goal for 2016 is let's all be friends. Why are we fighting about everything in the world? So
yeah, I will work to determine if we can find a way to do it that is completely consistent with the law. Then it sounds like everyone would like to do that, and it's just perhaps with all that's gone on, everyone's a little hesitant to get sideways on open meeting issues. But we'll work to see if there's a way. And as I said here, I think there ought to be, and I would be surprised if we couldn't.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. Anybody else? Any other?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question for the attorney.
Okay.
I'd like to know the extent of the review or oversight that the commission has over the department's budget.
I don't remember anything, and I don't think we need to go into executive session for this, because all I'm going to say is I don't remember seeing anything that specifically has you with a responsibility to do that, so to speak. Typically, most boards can hire and fire their director. That's usually about the extent, and I didn't anticipate that question, so I haven't had time to review your statutes to see exactly how yours is lined up. But it's usually the case that commissions or boards do not tend to at least meddle in the day-to-day operations as much as deal at the high levels of appointing the top-level people. That said, I mean, any rulemaking, and this would be in your budget for the regulatory wages, the RWA, should you have to approve it, and that's tied in with the budget issues, obviously, very closely. So I think you can get involved in that way, and you can get involved in directing staff to do things and letting it known that there would be repercussions if they weren't done the way the commission wanted. But again, that's something I can look into a little closer, but my intuition and my experience tells me that you don't have an obligation to be involved in that, but that you have means by which you can exercise some control, if only indirectly. If that helps, Mr. Feldmeyer.
I think it helps.
Yeah, and I'll look into it, and I can give you a little bit more thorough analysis at a subsequent time.
But the decision to increase this RWA belongs to the commission. Is that right?
Ultimately, yes, that's my understanding, because you would have to approve, rulemaking to engage in the rulemaking, which is how that has to be adjusted by rule, because it's in the rule that sets the amount.
And for us to do our job right, I think we need input from all aspects of the industry to make a correct decision.
I think we ultimately, if that's the case, ultimately we obviously make the decision, but I'd like as much input from everyone else as possible before we get to that point.
Yeah. I agree. Any other discussion?
One quick question. The impact of the RWA to the track versus the horseman, is that a 50-50 split?
Yes.
Is that the arrangement?
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner. Yes, it is.
Okay. And is that a separate agreement? I'm just curious how, is it a written agreement? Is it a handshake agreement?
I don't think it's statutory, but it's agreement we made, I don't know, with the Racing Commission, whether it's a rule or what the deal is.
I know the state took away funding of the Department of Racing, and so it has to be self-funded. You guys agreed to split the cost. And so we need your input.
We must have been sleeping, Mr. Chairman.
You want to change your mind now? And I wanted to say that we don't have any control over Mr. Casillas' future, but if we did, we'd vote for him to keep his job forever.
Yeah, and I was looking through that, and I wasn't seeing the usual provision that says that the commission can hire a director. So it doesn't look at you.
Yeah, that was removed from this commission.
But in any event, you could definitely be involved in that discussion, and I think they want you involved.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on this issue? I think we'll move on to the committee reports. American Greyhound Racing.
Good morning. My name is Edward Bronger. I'm now pending approval of the Racing Commission, the president and general manager of American Greyhound Racing. So I have 3 hats now. I thought I'd maybe give you, since I've been coming in this room 20 years for the meetings, I thought I might give you a brief history of my professional career. I started in '68 as a junior in high school, selling tickets at Southern Park and in South Dakota, and the little bush track, horse track in South Dakota too. Through college in Colorado, I also part-time sold tickets there. After college, moved down to Dania High Line and hand calculated the prices at High Line. I also part-time worked at Gulfstream, Hialeah, Parimutuel Management, Long Beach Kennel Club, Also, during a time in the summer, because there are separate meets, I was the mutual manager up at the Black Hills Kennel Club, a small Greyhound track up there. Became general manager up there. Moved down to Wichita, brand new racetrack, opened up that track as general manager. Moved to Wisconsin, opened up a new racetrack up there, Greyhound track. Got a little chilly up there, so 20 years ago decided to come down here, take a little hit, and enjoyed it my 20 years I've been here. And also there's a harness. I also worked at a harness track for a couple of years as a parimutuel manager too. So I've kind of met every part of parimutuels there is. I've enjoyed it here the most, as I said. Especially working with Dan Luciano, he's a tremendous guy, a good friend of mine. Love the passion Rory had just way here a while back. We need some more of that. But anyway, it's a little information on myself, and wanted to bring that up. Also, as far as AGR, we've opened up an OTB in Yuma, which is doing well for us, and pleased with that. And made some personnel changes, a few other things I'm planning on doing in the future. Life goes on.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone here representing the county fair?
Good morning, Commissioner McClintock, Commissioners, Director Casillas, and members of the audience. I'm actually here on behalf of Sharon Denham, who's snowed in down in Douglas.
Hey, Joanne. Please identify yourself for the record.
Oh, Joanne DeFilippo.
Thank you.
And I'm actually presenting on behalf of Sharon Denham, who is the chair of the Arizona Counties Racing Association, ACRA. Okay. What I actually have for each one of the commissioners, and Commissioner Feldmeyer, I'm going to give your copy to Cassie, is a copy of the nomination and the stake schedules that have been released on behalf of the Arizona County Fair. So you can just see the update on this. Thank you. And what we did this time, it is in an all-inclusive package that has both the application, the nomination form for the 3 major stakes races, as well as the complete stakes schedule. That is not the condition book, but it is the stakes schedule. And we put a picture of the historic race photo on the back. This has been distributed nationally. We've received tremendous amounts of calls. I've gotten quite a bit from Mexico also. So they'll be coming up, and we're working on those horses coming across the border. We're actually working we have a border network group that is comprised of law enforcement, et cetera, helping us with all of the necessary protocols. So that's what we have going on there. We as a result, we have a monthly telephone conference with Greg Stiles. We had one this week. We will be doing all of the track inspections. They should pretty much be done more or less by the end of January. So we do have Gabe Ramirez, who is in the audience here. He will be going out with Juan on these track inspections, so that we also have a horseman's input, as well as Arizona Department of Racing. We're having a meeting on January 29th, and I want to thank Mr. Pop because of the fact that he allows us to have both the horsemen's meetings, and we'll probably be having the ACRA meeting at the Tucson dog track. We like it there because we finish our meetings by 7 o'clock right before the dogs start running. So it works out well. He supports us, and we mutually support him. One of the things that we'll be doing, we're starting in January, is it's this issue which we discovered in the past year, that you've got a lot of new people coming into racing that are actually putting on the races. But some of them, oftentimes, especially if it's a county track, they do not have the mindset of horse racing. And so we're having to go through, and really, we spent a lot of time on working with them in the sense of getting to know ARS, Title V, Section 100 at all. Because unless you know what you're talking about with these regulatory rulemaking, let's say, the result of it, you're apt to get yourself into trouble or do things. Quite frankly, I heard somebody say that, but we've been doing it that way always. And that's one of the things that we're looking at cleaning up, is getting everybody to understand what it is in the ARS, in this Section 5, that is applicable to horse racing. We did have a talk with Greg about it this week, and we're looking at doing a mutual program with the Arizona Department of Racing as far as training. We actually refer to it as our standard operating procedures for our Arizona County's racetrack management program. One of the things that we have them take a look at is whether or not, what is open meeting law, what is study sessions, because that's how we work with the other Board of Supervisors.
Joanne, I hate to do this to you.
Pardon?
We
Yes.
have to wrap it up.
Okay, and that's what we have, and that's our update on this, okay? We thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. I look forward to talking to you about this more.
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
Okay, Rito, any more information?
Nope, I think I've heard enough for one day.
I've never seen him not want to speak.
Tucson Greyhound Park.
Just thank you for the consideration on the approval on the dates. And the approval. Thank you.
Surf Paradise, Mr. Francis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. Again, Vincent Francia, General Manager, Turf Paradise. The track is coming off a good week of racing. The Pick Six rolled into the $300,000 range, and that caught the attention of the players across the nation. We'd love to have one of those every week. We did have to cancel Wednesday due to the rain that put us in a situation where we didn't feel the track was raceable for the horses and the jockeys. What I'm about to do is on behalf of Turf and on behalf of our horsemen, and it's going to bring up the open meeting laws, and that is I am inviting the commissioners, the 5 commissioners and the director, to Turf Paradise a week from Saturday. That would be January the 16th, to celebrate the track's 60th birthday. Mayor Stanton, Mayor Greg Stanton, has issued a proclamation. He is going to be part of the festivities. Being a mayor, I live and die by open meeting laws. For me, the magic number is 4. And if I walk into a room and 3 of my council people are present, I walk out of the room, even though it's a social situation, it's not a political event or an agendized meeting. But how you do it is the department would post that you have been invited to a birthday celebration at Turf Paradise, and 3 or more commissioners may be present. That's how you abide by the open meeting laws. That being said, I hope to see you on January the 16th. Thank you.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks, Vince. That'd be kind of screwed. Right. All right, Optional Industry Stakeholder Association updates. Not to exceed 3 minutes. The Arizona Greyhound Association. Thank you. Arizona Quarter Racing Association.
Nothing to report.
Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association. And the HPPA. Mr. Mason.
For fear of being the only one to talk,
That's all right.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I do hope to see you out there on the 16th. One comment I would like to make, I don't know if you all watch TVG or if you watch, if you got Facebook or any of those. I would tell you the other day we had an experience out there that's, we've got one of the greatest riders in the country in Scott Stevens. I don't know, I'm sure you all recognize that, but you know, it was on national TV. He was halfway through a race and the blinkers on the horse started to come off. He reached up and took the blinkers off completely, but so the horse didn't become blind. And held on to him and actually won the race. And it was on every sports show in the country. And so if you get a chance, look it up. It's on Facebook and it's on TVG and all that stuff.
YouTube.
And YouTube, it's all on there, and it's great. And I just want to say that we are doing well out there. the general manager just said, we've had a very good season. We only had the one day so far that we've had to cancel. And we did that primarily because of the safety of the horsemen and the horses. You know, if you went, a lot of you went out, if you would have gone out on the track, you'd probably thought it was all right. But there was a couple of soft spots. I want to make sure that nobody gets hurt. So other than that, I think we're doing well, and I want to see you all out there. Thanks.
Thanks. I got a quick question. This is just a general question. Can those dates be made up, cancellation dates?
They can,
if you run?
They can, Mr. Chairman. We're making up the races, not that we're making up the 8 races, but they recarded those races.
Okay.
Or some of those races, but we will make up the date.
Okay.
When you cancel a date like that, is that a joint decision between the track, the horsemen, everybody gets together?
Yeah, we have an understanding with the racetrack and the jockeys and the track superintendent. We all meet at 7:30 and that in the morning, because that gives us time to notify all of the horsemen so they don't give their horses Lasix or spend any money putting new shoes on or giving them Lasix or whatever. So we've made a deal. It's been 3-4 years now that we've done that we do that and announce it by 8 o'clock. That gives everybody time to know what's going on. So if you'd have been out there at 8:15, there wasn't a soul on the racetrack. See you. Thanks.
Thanks. Anybody from the Jockeys Guild? All right, and now item E, commission reports, summary of current events affecting the Arizona Racing Commission. Only commission members or the director may report. Mr. Casillas, are there any current events affecting the Racing Commission?
No. That's what we can ask for, something that we put on a future.
This is, if you'd like to identify, that's item 2. Identification of matters to be placed on future agendas.
I'd like to, along with the safety reports we were talking about earlier, I know here in Arizona we have requirements to do injury reporting, and I know personally I've been watching the injury reports regarding the Greyhounds, and I've seen an improvement, and I can only thank Dan and Dale and the vets down there at Tucson Greyhound Park and everyone involved in what they do and have made improvements for the safety of the dogs. I would like to start seeing that presented as part also of the safety report of how we're doing, or if there's all of a sudden an issue, what are we doing to address that, or how is it going to be fixed? I know just in the last couple of weeks there was an incident where there was somebody bit, and that was not even in our current safety report. And I want to know, how did it happen? How are we going to prevent somebody working with the dogs from getting bit in the future? So it's just those type of things that I would like to see. Our injury reports, there are people from out of state that hate Greyhound racing and would love to use it against us. And we should not be letting them dictate to us how the hell we're doing our business. We should be dictating how we're doing business. And we can't do that unless we have the data in front of us and can see the improvements that are being made. Let's take claim to the improvements that we've made, that Dan and Dale have made down there, the veterinarians and Dr. Scott Waterman. Let's lay claim to our improvements. Let's let the world know we're a damn good racing state here in Arizona.
Just to comment on that, Mr. Gray, we have been working very closely with TGP regarding the injury reports, and there has been some discrepancies here and there, and it's a failure of communication between the track vet and the state vet, and some injuries reported that aren't necessarily true injuries. It's a matter of indicating it's an injury just to adopt the dog out. And we're finding that there's several reports being made of that nature. And so we're trying to tighten things up as far as the injury reports go and how things are reported. And we're preparing to meet with TGP and the track vet and the state vet so that there's more open communication and sharing of information.
I definitely thank you, and I just know over the last couple of years, there has been improvement, and, there is still improvement to be made, and I think that's what I want to see and hear about. How are we working, and how, like I said, let's be proud of the good job we've done, or if there is an issue, let's show the world we're taking care of it. And that's the type of stuff I want to see.
Okay, item F is a call to the public, and we only had one person signed up, Ms. Harrison, and I think you've already told us what you'd like to see happen. The next meeting of the Arizona Racing Commission will be held on Thursday, February the 11th, at 10 a.m. In this conference room. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We need a roll call.
McClintock?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Lawless?
Yes.
Feldmeyer?
Yeah.
Heupel?
Yes.
We are adjourned as of 11:42. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.